Hey, it's your boy Deric coming to you live from inside my office, and this is some questions that need to be answered. This video is going to be called, "Can I sell my house without a realtor?" Someone watching one of my other videos left a comment that I wanted to answer, and again, a lot of times I don't feel like typing out an entire paragraph or life story of what you can and cannot do. So sometimes I feel it's easier to make a video and just send this link to that customer, and maybe someone else has the same question. So, can I sell without a realtor? Obviously, that's called for sale by owner. Can you do that? The short answer is 100%. Of course you can. No one knows that house better than you. No one knows the intricate way it works, the location, what the benefits are more than you. And we have ideas in terms of a location and stuff like that, but we don't know the inside of the house, what you've done to it, what you haven't done to it, what upgrades are there, what about that house living there makes it worthwhile, and what it doesn't, what's working, what's not working 100%. We can kind of figure some things out, but really, you know the most about it. So can I sell that? Yeah, of course you can. That's 100%. You can absolutely do that, and people do it all the time. Now, the question is, can I get top dollar and sell it myself? That's probably more the in-depth question on this, I would guess. Again, my name is Deric Lipski. Sorry, I work with Keller Williams Real Estate, doing this 20 years, a couple hundred souls under my belt. And I made a living on doing a lot of expired listings where these are homes that were listed with other agents or for sale by owners that were listed with people themselves trying to sell a home and they couldn't get it done, so I took it over. And I've come across a lot of mistakes people made, so I just figured I'd share them with you today. So in case you do try to do this thing, you can try to do it the right way. So number one, if you're looking for top dollar retail buyer, it's going to be challenging because you're dealing with one person at a time. So a realtor is going to deal with hundreds of buyers and hundreds of buyers agents at any given time and market this to everybody. We have the resources, we pay for these things to get these on all the sites. You won't have that ability, so you're going to have the yard sign. Maybe you put it in MLS and play a flat fee, and maybe you have to offer a commission just to try to get someone to show it to one of the prospective buyers, and maybe advertise in the paper, or put a sticker on your van. I don't know, what other routes you have to do that. But so if you're going to do that, then here's the steps you need to be aware of. Okay, so if you get people to start calling you, want to see the property, you have to make sure that these people are pre-approved. Okay, so you want to make sure that they have a pre-approval from a legitimate source, and you're going to want to call that mortgage broker and ask, are they at risk of losing their job because of COVID or any other reasons? Have you checked this? Have you checked their credit thoroughly? Have you checked their work history? Have they had work history for the last 2 weeks? Have you checked their proceeds to make sure they have money to buy the property and it's seasoned money in the bank, meaning they didn't just stick $100 grand in the bank? Because if you do that, you have to season the money. It has to be in the 90 days because of the Patriot Act. They won't let you use that money. So it gets a little tricky. You have to make sure you know these things before you get started. So you want to ask the mortgage broker those kind of questions. And do they have to sell a house to buy yours? Because now this is, becomes a lot more trickier, especially if they're going to try to do it themselves as well. Because now you got a couple people who don't really know what they're doing, who are guessing at it and kind of pioneering their way through the path, versus using someone to say, hey, because they want to save a couple percent, hey, let's try it this way, and they don't want to do that. So, if they have to sell their house to buy the house, obviously, if you have multiple offers, that's not the offer you're going to grab, even if they give you over asking, because unless they have that house already sold, that's in purchase and sales and locked up, you don't want to deal with that. Even if it's a great house and it'll sell in a day, it's just, you got to be careful versus someone who doesn't sell anything, you can close in 30 days, which is what you want. All right, so the first thing you want them to do is you're going to have to, I'm sorry, I'm losing my place when I'm writing this stuff down. They're going to have to write an offer. So you have to get something on paper that establishes price and the terms. Like, when do you want to close? What's the deposit going to be? How much is your mortgage going to be? Are you going to go FHA, conventional, VA? Are you paying all cash? Like, how are you doing this? Once you get that, the next step for them is going to be a home inspection, right? All right, let me back this up. If you do have an offer, you want to make sure that when you get it, you review it and you get some legal advice if you're doing your own. Get an attorney and just run it by and let them take a look at it, make sure there's nothing funky in it. Because people will throw stuff in there, especially if they know you by yourself. Home inspection. So now they have to do a home inspection, and they only allow usually so many days. Usually it's 10 days, but I've seen some agents trying to write 20 or 30 days, and you got to catch that right away. Don't just look at the offer and go, man, this looks great at full price. Look at the terms, make sure these terms are correct. They should only get 10 days to do inspection. They shouldn't need any more than 10 days to do a home inspection. After home inspection, you may have to renegotiate if there's issues with the property. If they find the heating system's on its last leg, the roof's going to be dead, there's mold in the attic, there's radon, there's lead paint. There could be 1,000 different things wrong. There's termites. There could be 1,000 different things, what we call deal killers, going on with this property that you got to know about. And the buyer, finds out, and they may say, we want to renegotiate. And as a for sale by owner, you have to be very careful because you're attached to the property, right? So it's your baby. This is where you grew up, and whatever that is, and you kind of might find offense to it, whereas the third party doesn't. So you have to take yourself out of that position of being just the owner and just being the businessman trying to negotiate this. And you may need to negotiate to keep the deal together. Once you guys do that, you go right to a purchase and sales agreement. Now, typically the seller side will present the buyer side with a purchase and sales agreement. So you may have to go to your attorney at that time and have them do it. Now, if their buyer is working with a realtor and they have an attorney, they may send you one over. But again, I highly recommend you have an attorney look at the purchase and sales to make sure you're not getting yourself in any kind of stuff, because even attorneys will throw weird stuff in there to try to protect their buyer that's not good for you. So have someone else talk to them and negotiate that for you to make sure that's a clean deal. Okay, now they get that all on purchase sales, you have it in paper, you're moving forward, you've got to do a couple things, right? So we got to meet the appraiser. So the appraiser is going to come to the house and try to establish value. If you have a crazy amount on there and this buyer pays you the crazy amount, figuring it's worth it, you may find out it's not worth that when they do a full appraisal. So make sure you have your comps and you can justify the price you're asking based on some of the homes that that have sold in the last 6 months within a 1 or 2 mile radius of the property. These are things that we have, but you don't have access to typically. So it might be harder to get, but you want to try to come up with something that justifies your price. Because if you don't have that and the appraiser says this is crazy, you're not going to get the deal done. And if it doesn't come in at the right price, you may have to go back to the appraiser and kind of go, well, hey, let's look at this in a couple of different ways and try price per square foot, a sales price to assessed price. You got to look at a couple of different options that of homes that have sold and see what you can pick out that's going to help you. Zillow is not going to help you. Next, after that gets through, you got to stay on the mortgage broker. You got to be on this guy all the time. You got to call him all the time to make sure that he's doing his job. Because believe me, if you give him 2, 3, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months, he'll take it. You got to get him on his job, always on these guys. There's a few guys who are really good that don't need that, but did this buyer get one of those? Who knows? You got to stay on this guy anyways. This is your baby, your house, to make sure you get your money. So what do you want to stay on for? You want to make sure that he gets his mortgage commitment in time. So as you're approaching that date, you say, hey, do they have commit? Are they going to have it on time? Because a lot of times these guys will try to file extension, because they know you're by yourself, you're not being represented, so they can kind of push you around and tell that's just the way it is. People in business 20 years know that's not the way it is. And there is a time when even us, we get extensions, but there's less rare for us than it is for sale by owners. Then you have to make sure the buyer gets a clear to close. The clear to close is the big step. It's the final step for the bank saying, we've gave you commitment, we've reevaluated your credit again, we checked your work history again, we checked your credit again, we checked the appraisal, we bounce everything back, we're going to give you the clear to close. We're committing to close the property now, we're going to clear to close, and that usually means you're going to close within 24 to 72 hours after that is issued. When you get that taken care of, you got to make sure that in that time in between there, that you have your water, utilities all taken care of, whether you get your finals on them, your Title V if you have that, the septic system tested, smoke inspection done with the fire department, and any other stuff. Some towns need sewer line cleanouts, inspections. All the states are doing different things now. So I'm in Boston here, so this is what we would do. But in your state, you may need a few more things to close. You got to check that out, make sure that's done. Okay, so then you want to also talk to the closing attorney as well prior to closing. Make sure that he gets your payoff. He has your information because he's going to call your bank and get the payoff so they can pay the property off for you. He will not accept your word if you tell him you owe $200,000. And he's going to want it directly from the bank, and he's not going to pay you the money. He's going to pay the bank the money, and you get whatever's left after that. Bring the keys, your license, your ID to closing, and that's pretty much it. So can you close the property yourself? Yes. Is it complicated? Yes. Do a lot of people who do it say they'll never do it again? I think so, but there are some people who are do-it-yourselfers who are like, I'll do it. I'll save the a couple percent, whatever it is, every single time to do it myself, and I feel good. So it really depends on who you are and what you think you're capable of doing. But I hope this helps you. I wish you guys the best of luck. Any more questions or comments, leave them below. I will answer them. If I can't answer them, I will create a video like I did on this one. Again, my name is Deric Lipski. Thanks for watching.